Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh Lord, to the revolution. That's just something I want to do. I never considered myself a singer anyway. Although I sung in church choirs for almost 20 years, but I never considered myself a real singer. But I just want to have a little fun with y'all this evening, or whatever time of day you see this video. I'm taping it this evening, but you may see it on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day that you find the opportunity to see it. Nevertheless, I'm so glad to be with you today. First of all, greetings to you. How are you doing on this beautiful day? And I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you once again for joining me on another episode of TJ's Topics. And I want to welcome you to the show as well. I'm so glad you're here. And of course, I am TJ. And I'm not trying to get a record deal, by the way. I just wanted to come on here to do a little something with you, and I'm glad to be here today because this is the beginning of daylight savings time. Oh my goodness, it's another season of longer days and shorter nights. And I know that many of you get excited when this time of the year rolls around, although none of us get excited about losing an hour of sleep. Because Lord knows I dread losing that hour. But I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I set all my clocks before I went to bed on Saturday night. But I felt rested when I got up on Sunday morning. I really did. And so I'm grateful for that. And I hope that you all had a good night's rest as well, even after springing forward, because we are right on the brink of spring. Spring is in the air. And the main reason why I want to sing that little song, Fly Like an Eagle, and time keeps on slipping, that first line in there, is simply because that's what I want to talk about today. Time keeps on slipping. And it's doing that. I mean, just think about how fast time is moving. I mean, it seems like yesterday we were just beginning the year 2023. And here we are now, well into the third month of the year, according to this Gregorian calendar, that is, this Roman calendar that we've been prescribed with. But if you go by the biblical calendar or the prophetic calendar, according to scriptures, the new year is actually beginning at this very moment. Right now, in this season, spring is the beginning of the authentic new year. Because, and I think I talked about some of this on the last time when we were together. So basically, that's what it is, and this is kind of a continuation of that. But once again, my subject for today, or my topic, is time keeps on slipping, and and that is precisely what's going on when you think about it. I mean, can you remember some things? You can remember where you were, like this time last year, or maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, or even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, perhaps 40 years ago. You remember exactly where you were, what you were doing, and who you were with, and everything. And and to wake up and realize that so much time has passed. I mean, from that moment in your life, whenever and whatever it was, up until this present moment. The number of years and decades that have gone by. How rapidly the time has passed. And we see so many changes have taken place as a result of the passage of time. Now, as I said earlier, we are at the very beginning of daylight savings time. And of course, many of you, of course, all of you may remember when daylight savings time didn't begin until April and ran until October. But somehow Congress came up with the idea to stretch it out a little further. And now we begin daylight savings time in March and run all the way to November, giving us 8 months of longer days and shorter nights instead of 6. But regardless of how the time is measured, it still goes by just like that. Can you believe it? I mean, I just, it's mind boggling to say the least. And I'm sure that all of you can remember significant events and memorable moments in your life, like, for example, high school graduation or college, or, when you got your first job, or you bought your first car, or you went out on a first date or prom or whatever. I remember my prom, and I remember it well because I didn't have a date. But I didn't care because, number one, I didn't want to spend too much money anyway. And the girl that I wanted to ask out, she lived down the street from me, but she had such an old sour puss attitude till I didn't want to fool with her. So I ended up going to the prom by myself. But anyway, that was when I was in the 12th grade. And that, for me, was 25 years ago, a quarter century. 25 years since I last went to the prom, when I graduated from high school. And oh my goodness, time keeps on slipping. But look here, time doesn't wait for anybody. I've always heard that time doesn't stand still, and it doesn't. And since time doesn't stand still, neither should any of us. If time is steady moving, then that behooves us to move right along with it. Because, sometimes people can become stagnant in their lives, but time never becomes stagnant. That's one thing it never does. It keeps right on ticking. The clock is steady ticking. And as long as we are ticking, then we need to be moving along with that clock. Now, that's not to say we need to rush through life it doesn't mean that we need to hurry up and just speed through everything, because sometimes people tend to get in too big of a hurry doing a lot of things. And I'm guilty of that myself. I have been guilty of rushing to do certain things, getting in too big of a hurry. And I end up messing up. And when you mess up real bad, that's when you tend to fail at doing a lot of stuff. And nobody hates failure. But failure can be a part of wasted time. Anytime you waste precious moments off your life, moments that you cannot get back, that in a sense causes one to fail. And I don't think anyone intentionally wants to be a failure. I mean, and like the saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, as long as we still got time, there's always hope and opportunities for us to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, get back in line, and keep on trying. I think that's a very important thing for each of us to do. And I'm sure that when you all went to bed on Saturday night, leading up to daylight savings time, you probably went to bed anticipating on getting up the next day, which was Sunday morning, looking forward to beginning afresh and achieving new goals, reaching greater heights, and becoming the very best version of yourself as you possibly could. I mean, that should be all of our intentions and our mindset every time we lay down to go to sleep and hope to wake up the next morning. And we anticipate waking up, And I tell you, but as time keeps on slipping, it makes you wonder, do we really have enough time in a day? I mean, we have 24 hours, but we can't be on our feet all 24 hours. We got to get some rest sometimes. Then we can't just work all the time. There has to be time for play. There has to be time for extracurricular activities and hobbies and personal interests. But sometimes we're unfortunate to where we can't fit all of what we want to do in a day's time. And that it can be sort of bothersome. I experienced a bout of that last week, as a matter of fact, because there were some things that I had hoped to get done. I think that was Thursday night. And I wanted to do a few things before time to go to bed. But due to other things coming up and, had some other obligations and things like that, I just didn't have the time. And I felt really bad about that. And I got up that Friday morning, feeling sort of down as a result of that. But, it is what it is. And so as we go through this daylight savings time, having longer days now, meaning that we can, it appears that people may want to stay out a little later because daylight will last longer. It seems like perhaps we may be able to get a few more things done than we could have before. Because I tell you one thing, when you achieve a goal, even if it's just something that you mean to do within that 24-hour time period, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. it really makes you feel good. And I tell you, oh my goodness. Let me mention this. Now, here we are in 2023, of course. This is a year that none of us have ever lived in before and will never see again. But now, think back to 3 years ago in March. It was life-changing for all of us because it was the start of the pandemic. You know, the pandemic was kicking into high gear to the point where all sorts of things began to crumble and fall. I mean, job layoffs and, places had to shut down, especially restaurants and gyms and stuff. And then school was out. The kids couldn't go to school. Everybody was on lockdown at home. And then it was 3 years ago this month when I had a car accident. I tore up my gold Taurus. I was driving a Ford Taurus at the time. Had paid that car off, and I felt good. Had a little extra money in my pocket and able to save a little extra money and stuff. And had credit cards that, I felt like I was in big time, able to go and get money off the credit cards. But all that came to a head 3 years ago this month in March of 2020. So it set me back. But I've bounced back since then. And I look back now and, as we go through life and experience the changing of these times, we tend to learn valuable lessons. That's one thing that I feel that we should all benefit from as time continues to whiz right by us. There ought to be lessons that we pick up along the way that will carry us throughout the remainder of our lives. And hopefully, as time keeps on slipping, we'll be able to learn even more and we'll experience bigger and better things too. Oh, I tell you, I'm just really thankful. I am thankful, first of all, to be here at this moment in history. Thankful to have the opportunity to see the expansion of the knowledge that most of humanity has been, I guess, denied, or it's been withheld from us for so long. But now it's like this knowledge and this information that we're receiving is coming to us at a greater level. Because looking back to when I was a child, even as a teenager and early adulthood, a lot of resources weren't available to us. But now in this generation, there is no excuse for anyone to walk around in a state of ignorance or a lack of knowledge. Because time has afforded us the ability to gain more insight into all sorts of things that will help us live a better life, a better quality of life, and not only for our own personal benefit, but so that we may be able to help others too. And that should always be the ultimate goal, to be a big help to someone else. And when you're able to help someone else, it makes you feel so good. So tell me, as we go further along into this daylight savings time, and I'm sure by now all of you have sprung forward and moved your clocks up 1 hour. How does it feel to 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 be where you are today, in a place of growth and progress? Because that's really what life should be about, making some sort of progress. And as time keeps moving right along, or as time keeps on slipping, we definitely want to continue to grow, and we want to progress further. We want to do better. We want to succeed. And remember, success is measured differently for everybody. What one person may consider success, someone else may consider, kind of lackluster or even failure, perhaps. But success doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. It's all according to each person's own perspective. And since all of our perspectives is different, then we have to accept that and be content with what we have and where we are, and not be so quick to compete against, try to compete with somebody else. That's one thing I'm not good at, trying to compete with others. Mm-mm. And when I was involved in music ministry, and I was involved in that for 18 years, I tried to do my best, but oftentimes I felt like it was never enough. And they made me feel as if it wasn't enough. The minister of music, and sometimes the choir president, or the different members of the choir, or some of the folks in church, the deacons, and stuff like that. But looking back on all that, I'm at peace now, and I'm happy because I know who I am. I know what I have to offer, what I bring to the table. I know my worth. And when you know your worth, others, they can't say or do anything to make you feel otherwise. So I am grateful, and gratefulness is good. So I hope that you enjoyed yourself. I really enjoyed myself with you. Tried not to hold you too long. I don't like to hold people too long because people tend to get a little bored, and then I run out of words to say. But I always love great conversation. And I tell you, it just does my heart good to be able to come to you on a weekly basis or whenever I can and share with you, little nuggets of wisdom and compassion. Because, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. That's a very important thing. And I tell you, it really makes me feel good to be able to spend quality time with you. So I want to thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your love, your support, and showing me a little favor simply by clicking like and subscribe, commenting, and sharing if you wish. I'm very thankful for that. And I hope that this spring, this season of life and new beginnings will be a good one for you. I'm talking about real good. And may the rest of this year be good for you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to me, for watching this episode right here of TJ's Topics. This is Taryn Jerome Harris reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. Always has and always will. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next go round for another episode of TJ's Topics. And ain't no telling what I'll be talking about on the next go round. So stay tuned, okay? Happy spring to everybody. And if you're getting ready for spring break, I hope that you have a happy spring break as well, because we're getting ready for spring break as well here in West Memphis. So I hope you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.